Welcome to the Town of Sangerville Board of Selectmen meeting, February 7, 2018. It's 5:01, and the entire board's present. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 2, the minutes for January 17.
Those were the ones that you signed.
Okay. So somebody wants to approve?
Second?
All in favor? Unanimous. Item 3, review of treasurer's warrants. Payroll, 18, 13, 10, 7. Accounts payable, 17, 16, 15, 14, 12, 9, 8, 11.
Make a motion. Go ahead.
Nope. Make a motion to approve all.
Second?
All in favor? 3. Open session. We have some guests tonight. Would anyone like to speak? Mr. New.
I'm just saying hi.
All right. Hi. Anyone else? No? Item 5, Selectmen's concerns. Other than the snow. No, not concerned. Committee reports? None. Old business. A, Gray Road discussion of damages.
I sent you via email the report from the appraiser. It's 138
I say the
pages.
balloonist report.
Yes. And so basically what he came down to was 0 damages for all 4 properties involved. So that's
Outstanding news.
what we have. If anybody wants to look
That
at it.
was, I've done a considerable amount of research, listening to old minutes, and damages were a big concern when this whole project started, so
Interesting.
no damages is nice.
Very good.
Gray Road, order of discontinuance.
I had 3 wordings that I forwarded to you. One of them just says the order of discontinuance of the Gray Road as a town way for a distance of approximately 0.24 miles, beginning at the easterly end of the Gray Road and running in a westerly direction. The second version said for a distance of approximately 0.24 miles, approximately 1,267 feet, beginning at the easterly end of the Gray Road and running in a westerly direction to the point of where the ditching ceased in 2016, keeping the entrance to the Cleves Farm Field, the old Dave Cleves place, on the town way. And then the third one was to the point of where the ditching ceased in 2016, near the entrance to the Cleves Farm Field, the old Dave Cleves place.
And they all mean exactly the same thing.
Yes.
Say that one, the last one again. Is that all it said, is just that end piece?
Did it have north and east and west on it?
It does.
Easterly?
It does.
Oh, okay.
So what was the difference
But
between B and C?
This one says the old keeping the entrance to the Cleves Farm Field on the town way. That one just says near the entrance to the Cleves Farm Field.
What exactly, I'm not familiar with that entrance, honestly.
It's-
So when we correlate, if we measure in 1 mile in, which is basically where we've been going and where we stopped the ditching, does that mean that entrance is within that?
It's right there on the right.
So it's within that 1 mile, or is it after the 1 mile?
That's
I was just up there on a snowmobile, and it looks to me like the ditching kind of bisects that entrance. I mean, if for example, this goes through, the town way will end at the ditching. And in theory, perhaps a portion of his driveway entrance wouldn't be on a town way, and not that that would necessarily matter to you if you were building a house there. But that's how I think it could work out. It was snow on the ground, so I couldn't say for certain. But even with the snow, you can clearly see where the ditching ends. And that to me is kind of a critical target in all this. Where that work ended is a really sound argument for where your discontinuance would commence.
I guess my thing about referencing the drive near or including, if we go, say, 10 years from now, when none of us are involved in this, and somebody, let's just say that property sold tomorrow, and somebody widens out the drive, or they change that drive, we're referencing a drive, we're not referencing a point, so how do we, I don't wanna get ourselves down the road.
With
if that-
ambiguity.
Correct.
The word
That's my
near may be enough, but I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
You don't wanna create an
Do we
obligation
have
that
to
can be
reference
moved
it?
on you.
Do we have to reference that drive?
No, I don't think we do.
No.
I mean,
Because
you're
you're,
referencing the property and by the other verbiage, right?
right,
It says, the municipal officers of the town of Sangerville will hereby order discontinuance of the Gray Road as a townway for a distance of approximately 0.24 miles, beginning at the easterly end of the Gray Road.
Which is
You
the,
wouldn't have to say anything else after that.
right,
Okay.
right.
And then
So that's from the bottom up the riprap.
easterly end.
Up the riprap,
Yep,
okay.
okay,
Up-
which I like.
Yeah.
Although all of us kind of vision it coming from in town.
Yeah, but
That's
still,
really clear.
yeah.
You go to the easterly end, you come in virtually a quarter of a mile.
Right.
Which will correspond to the ditching, okay?
Right.
The Gray Road is approximately 3 miles wide, begins with Flanders Hill Road, approximately 2. That's all.
And I'd rather keep it right to the footage, and that way anyone
I don't
can
wanna
measure
open
it.
this up later.
And running westerly direction to the point where the ditching ceased in 2016, comma, near the entrance of the Cleves Farm field.
Sure.
That's
I don't
not-
see anything wrong with that.
And then it wouldn't matter where they moved the entrance. I mean,
It's still
someday
there.
it might not even be there.
Right.
But it,
Yep.
and we could even go to, although it wouldn't, I don't, if it's not in this discontinuance, I don't think it's gonna matter, but you could put a monument there of some sort, you could put a rock there, you could do something beyond what the ditching is, but it won't be in this order. I mean, you can't really do anything now.
Correct. I would just leave it as that for now, and then,
I think it's
if
sufficient.
if it ends up being an issue or something, then we can.
Well, if it's
we-
approved, what's going to happen is you're gonna see work done up there, so now that
It'll
stopping
become
point's
very
gonna get
clear,
really
very
clear.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, at the same breath, I mean, we could get a stone, or, you know what I mean, we could get a rock, or we
Yep.
could get something. for-
I'm sure there'll be rocks generated,
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
so.
it's one guaranteed thing that grows and scatters.
we're maintaining public easement, correct?
Correct.
Right, right. And there will never be boulders there because you
It's
can
an
use
easement.
it for.
It's an easement.
It's
okay.
kind
You
of,
can-
well, I mean, somebody could bolt boulders there, but they could be forced to remove them.
Sure,
It'd be
sure,
like the
sure.
gate
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
Grant Road.
Okay.
I occasionally drive through there with my pickup.
I've gone down over there several times.
I took
We
my
did.
car down over it.
I'll tell you, I went up over it, and it was a little iffy.
No wonder why it's broken.
Every time I go, I flush a grouse.
It's not that one.
I think of the options, I like this last one the best.
Me too.
And is it measured, so in east, is it measured off the Flanders Hill Road? No.
Yep.
Yeah.
The municipal officers of the town of Sangerville hereby order discontinuance of the Gray Road as a townway for a distance of approximately 0.24 miles, approximately 1,267 feet, beginning at the easterly end of the Gray Road and running westerly direction to the point of where the ditching ceased in 2016, near the entrance of the Cleves Farm Field and Old Dave Cleves Place. The Gray Road is approximately 3 rods wide and begins at Flanders Hill Road, where it runs approximately 1.24 miles in a generally easterly direction to Flanders Hill Road, as shown more particularly on the town of Sangerville tax map, numbers, yada, yada, yada. All right? What we need to try to do is imagine how someone might try to
Right.
move this around. It looks pretty good to me, seems pretty good, but
I think it's pretty clear. I mean,
What do you mean by move something around?
well, try to move these
Like the
markers,
beginning,
which
you
I
were
think would
saying.
be hard to do based on this description. I mean,
Like at town meeting, or? you
No, no,
just
no.
mean in
I'm
general?
saying
Oh,
10
okay.
years from now.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
exactly what happened with 95 and 13 or 4, you know, there was all this ambiguity. We don't want that.
Well, the ambiguity then wasn't a matter of where, it was about how and,
Well, it was
Yeah.
all, and it was never taken to the town.
you know, but that's the difference. I think that's good. I don't know how you're gonna, it's a clearly defined measure. I don't know how you're gonna get any better. I mean,
And on the bottom of this document, it shows the abutters that are impacted by this discontinuance, and then the amounts of 0. And the map and lot is noted there.
Is there a map? Oh, no, there's no
it's referencing the law.
drawn picture
No.
of the road, Flanders Hill Road, and that.
Not on this, there is in his, several in his
But we don't
assessment.
reference the assessment in this.
Well, that's what he used, he's licensed
Right.
to come up with this figure.
Right, no, I understand that.
The wording, you better make sure the wording matches what's on that order. That's the second motion.
For this one?
No, the first one is there, you need the order of discontinuance.
So I do this, and this, and this. I've never done this before.
No, and I meant to get it to
I
you guys
know.
ahead of time.
Okay, so,
Mike,
so I need to just read this part of this actual verbiage and.
Good ankle support.
Okay. So I move that the selectmen order the discontinuance of a portion of the Gray Road as a townway for a distance of approximately 0.24 miles, approximately 1,267 feet, beginning at the easterly end of the Gray Road and running in a westerly direction to the point of where the ditching ceases in 2016, near the entrance of the Cleves Field, the old Dave Cleves place. The Gray Road is approximately 3 rods wide and begins at the Flanders Hill Road, where it runs approximately 1.24 miles in a generally easterly direction to Flanders Hill Road, as shown more particularly on the town of Sangerville tax map number 8 and 11 on file at the Sangerville Town Office. And the following damages be paid to the abutting property owners as follows. Lance Burgess, map 11, lot 12, in the amount of 0. Charles and Ann Carroll, map 8, lot 1, for the amount of 0. And lot,
correction.
lot 38-1 for the amount of 0. Charles and Ann Carroll, map 8, lot 38, and lot number 2 for the amount of 0. And Charles Cleves of Cleves Farms, map 8, lot 39 for 0.
I second that.
Further discussion. And I think something of this magnitude deserves further discussion. Dale was there when this whole project began. You and I were not. I think we both have not only read all the minutes, we've listened to the minutes.
Right.
So I think we should have on the record kind of our rationale for following through with this.
Okay.
Dale, do you wanna, how this started? I mean, like I said, you were there.
Well, I mean, it originally started with Mr. Burgess offering a very valuable donation to the town. As far as with gravel and materials to fix that section of the road. And then there was lots of conversation as far as the legality of the road, and we got into everything of how it was improperly discontinued and the statuses and all of the history since then.
Yeah, that was consistent with what I heard on the audio tape. In all fairness, if you're just reading the minutes, you don't really have a sense for how thorough the process was. At least that's kind of how I came away with it. It was, I even made some notes, you know, because it's there, we're all familiar with some of the controversy around this. We just started the year and there were all kinds of rumors and things being said, but, I had listened to several places where the town manager says the entire road is a town way. You guys were led to believe that the actions prior to you were such that the whole road was a town way.
And we actually rescinded because of the improper actions of the previous boards.
That's correct.
And it was clearly, we found evidence that Public Works and maintenance the 1 mile in, which is all falls with what everything is happening.
It just seems to me, I've got several examples here where Tom says this road should be maintained by the town. That's one of his concerns with the offer. He feels like really, you know, we shouldn't be taking what amounts to thousands of dollars worth of materials and labor. The town should be paying for this. Well, that tells me that Tom felt like it was a town way. Melissa agrees with him. In fact, if I remember correctly, Tom actually doesn't vote to take the offer of material because he feels like it's not fair to the landowner who's offering the material. He feels like the town should just be paying for this.
Correct.
And that's the beginning of this project back in April.
So that was what, April 28th,
That's correct.
2016?
Yep.
So it was moved by Melissa and seconded by Dale to accept the offer with the appropriate liability sign-off for volunteer labor, but after discussion and noting that the Gray Road is a town responsibility, the motion was approved 2-1, Tom voting against.
Yep. That's
Okay.
how yeah. In fact, Melissa says, when Tom says, he said, this is something the town should take care of, not an individual citizen. And Melissa says, that's my thoughts too. This really is the town's responsibility. So that kind of, you know, there's the beginning of this. And this type of conversation is repeated throughout the whole summer. You know, as I was listening some this weekend. At one point, Mr. Burgess is actually suggesting that they determine the status conclusively. And Melissa's saying, well, one thing, you don't have to work between Lentini's and the pole is a town way. There's no question of that. What she's concerned about is what's over the hill, which is valid concern. We don't want that to, but they had every intention of coming back and doing what we're doing. The town manager told them repeatedly that ultimately this was gonna have to go to the voters. Which actually corresponds with what Eaton and Peabody suggested.
Right, right. Yep.
Eaton and Peabody they had a pretty lengthy response to a letter that the former chair sent them, but they said that really there are only two ways we're gonna determine the status of this road. Is through legal action or what we're doing here tonight. And they strongly recommended that we not go the legal route. So this basically is just finishing a commitment. I feel like it's just finishing a commitment that this board, not made up of the same people, but this board started and made in 2016. I feel like if a board negotiates with an individual or a corporation or an agency in good faith, it's just because one or two members change, we shouldn't be reneging.
Right.
So,
There needs to be some sort of continuity.
yep. Anything else? You wanna vote?
I think we've gone through.
Okay, let's vote. In favor? It's unanimous. Now, the next step in this process,
He has to.
oh,
So then I move that the selectmen issue and file with the town clerk an ordinance of discontinuance that accurately reflects the action taken by the selectmen to discontinue a portion of the Gray Road. And that the selectmen sent a budding land property owners best practical notice of this action without delay. The ordinance of discontinuance should be signed at that time.
Okay, a second?
Those in favor? Unanimous. Are we done with B?
Yes.
Okay. Moving on to C. The next step in this process is a public hearing. So we need to set a date for that. My thought is, it's just a starting point, but we could do it at our next select board meeting.
At 6 PM.
We set a time so that our select board meeting is gonna have to end,
Right.
and then we launch it at, say, 6. And
So that's what, February 21st?
Yes.
you guys wanna do it that way?
Yep, that
Okay.
sounds good.
And I would say if your calendar's filling up, so it looks like we've got a lot to do, if we're available, we might even come in at 4 to get the town work done. But we'll deal with that if it gets full.
As long as I'm around, I can do it.
Okay.
I need a motion for that public hearing.
You want me to make a motion? Make a motion that we have a public hearing about the discontinuance of the portion of the Gray Road that we just signed on February 21st at 6 PM.
Second?
All in favor? Unanimous?
Thank you.
There's 3 letters that need sign off.
You take those? Personnel policy?
I emailed it, and I have given you a hard copy. And this is the final, I'm hoping this is the final copy from,
Okay.
And you said that, oh yeah, it's shorter. It is, you've taken out several, you had to
we
take,
took out 5 pages.
that's great. So what you took out was,
So if we start on page 1, the equal employment opportunity, I think we left that alone. The harassment and unlawful, we took out all those pages of
Verbiage.
Yeah.
definitions and stuff like that. We took all of that out. The same on number 4, whistleblower protection. We took out all of that extra wording and examples.
it's just not necessary.
It's not
So
necessary.
by stating that we have a whistleblower protection, it's,
Short and sweet.
Because anybody can go to a website and
and see
look
what
it up.
that is. Okay.
Yeah.
Has Katie looked at this?
Who?
Your attorney?
They did it.
Oh, okay, all right,
Finished it.
okay.
I told them, I had what we
done.
wanted and look at these parts, and she corrected, made the sections shorter that we were specifically, physical examinations we left, probation. I think she changed a little bit of that wording, but not, she did say, all full-time employees, that's for probation. Types of employment, I know we talked about, do we want to consolidate these, and she suggested that we don't, but she did consolidate the seasonal temporary. I think we had one more in there, didn't we? Or was that it?
Well, there was quite a few.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you've got
She
them.
said we should have them, so we left them. Promotion, we made that short and sweet. Same as compensation. We added the section number 12 of timesheets. A weekly timesheet shall be completed by every employee and submitted to the employee supervisor for approval. Every employee shall keep accurate record of their time to include vacation, sick, and compensatory time used. No employee shall be paid for lunch breaks but are entitled to a 15-minute break in the morning and in the afternoon. I know you didn't like that wording, but she said, no, that's good, it's fine.
I understand, but
I know.
Yeah.
Intentional falsification of any payroll records or timesheets may be just cause for disciplinary action up to and including dismissal. Employees shall be at their respective places of work at the appointed starting time. All departments shall keep daily attendance records and furnish the records to the town manager on request. In the event of a necessary absence, it is the responsibility of the employees to inform their department head of the reason for the absence within a reasonable amount of time or before the employee is expected to report to work. If a department head is to be absent from work, he or she is expected to inform the town manager prior to the start of the workday. So that whole section, we kind of combined some other sections and made it more relevant to, because we didn't have anything that referenced timesheets. Overtime, we left that. Holidays, part-time employees who have attained 1 year of service are eligible to receive regular day pay during holidays when the holiday falls on the employee's regularly scheduled workday. So we did put that in there, even though we wanted it changed the no part-time. But I think this is a fair.
Where are you?
14.
Page
holidays.
4, holidays. Disciplinary action, you wanted a lot of change in this one, you wanted more wording, so she
Well, in
did.
14 though, that's still gonna be, that's a managerial thing. Because you're not gonna, if it's a holiday and you don't need them, you're not gonna schedule them. So, I mean, you still have it in there.
It's when you have a regular part-timer, so if you have somebody that does 5 hours a day every day, you're only gonna give them 5 hours of holiday pay. If it's if they're,
Okay,
I
so
think
under that
that's a fair-
scenario, that's fine, but I mean, you may never have one of those.
Right,
That is correct.
Correct.
Right,
Yeah,
Correct.
but if you did, I would agree with that.
yeah.
yes,
He would get compensated, or she would get compensated for that, because it could even happen in the office.
Or if you had
Correct.
somebody that worked for you every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Correct.
Holiday hit on a
Right,
Monday.
right.
right,
That's their regular schedule.
right,
Yep,
right.
Correct.
But if they always had Mondays off and every holiday falls on a Monday, they don't get
That's
anything.
Correct, yes.
Yep.
but
That is correct.
if you're calling them when you need them, you're not gonna call them for a holiday.
That is correct.
Okay, I like it.
Disciplinary action,
Actually, question,
okay.
Oh,
what if?
is that our date?
Is that Chris sneaking up on us?
One of them.
Probably is.
So, what if we have a bad windstorm on your holiday, and you do have to call them in? Does that mean your call-in still covers them, and you still have to pay them your holiday? Just asking.
Is it a holiday or is it, you just
Yeah,
say
I mean, on a
Wednesday?
holiday, if you had a bad day, and you had to call people in, then you are.
No, he's just working for you. That would be my, I mean, if you've got a guy who like troubleshoots,
Because he's not regularly.
right, and it happens to be on Columbus Day, you call him, say, I got 2 trees down, can you go cut them up? He's gonna get paid his regular hourly
Okay,
rate.
that's what I was assuming too,
Yeah.
but
Now, if he's every day, half day,
that's different.
yep,
He gives
yep,
half day.
that's,
Yeah.
it seems like that's clear in here.
Are we ready for?
Yep, I am.
Section 15, disciplinary action. The town has a policy of progressive discipline for employees, which means that repeated instances of poor job performance or misconduct will be subject to progressively more severe sanctions, which may include oral warnings, written reprimands, suspension with or without pay, demotion, or dismissal. Progressive discipline does not mean that the initial disciplinary response to unsatisfactory job performance or misconduct will always be the same. Serious job performance problems or misconduct, such as, but not limited to, dishonesty, violence, or theft, may result in more severe disciplinary sanctions up to and including dismissal, even on the first occurrence. The town manager shall have the authority to take necessary disciplinary action, which may include such remedies as oral warnings, written reprimand, suspension with or without pay, demotion, or dismissal. Before making a final decision to suspend without pay for more than 2 days, demote or dismiss an employee, the town manager or designee shall hold an informal hearing. The employee shall be given written notice of the proposed disciplinary action and the reasons, therefore, in advance of the hearing. The employee shall have the opportunity at the informal hearing to respond to the reasons and to present reasons where the employee believes the discipline or discharge is not justified. A prior informal hearing shall not be required when in the judgment of the town manager, the employee's conduct or job performance creates an immediate threat of injury to the employee, any other town employee, or members of the public, or is otherwise detrimental to the town, provided that the employee shall be suspended with pay until such time as an opportunity for an informal hearing is offered. Should an employee be dissatisfied with the town manager's decision with respect to suspension without pay for more than 2 days, demotion or dismissal, the employee may file an appeal to the decision of the Board of Selectmen. The appeal shall be in writing and shall be filed with the town manager within 7 days of the decision. The appeal shall set forth the relief sought. The Board of Selectmen shall conduct a hearing on the matter within 14 days of receipt of the appeal. The board shall render a written recommendation based on its findings within 7 days from the conclusion of the hearing. So there's a 2-hearing process, just like the other policy had, but it's a lot shorter time frame. You have 2 days.
14 days, should that be specified that that's calendar, not business days? That's a question.
Well, it doesn't say business days.
No, it doesn't, but it doesn't say either, is my,
Well, if it doesn't say business, then it's calendar. Is that a
Right.
fair way to?
that's an opinion, that's why I'm asking.
Well,
I just don't want to come back and
it
bite.
says 7 days. If it said 7 business days, that would be,
Then, all right.
And I think that you could take that argument to anybody.
does that include 7 nights?
Correct.
I liked it. I thought it was,
So you bet how have we changed it? What was it?
well, we had steps. We had a process, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you couldn't dismiss until you hit the 4th
The
step.
progression
The
was
progression.
mandatory.
No,
Correct.
It said you could, depending upon the circumstance, you could you could have, just with any of it.
Yeah, but
You
it
can go
wasn't,
over it.
it was,
Just with this,
this is, yeah, I think this is more outlined that, and emphasize that you can dismiss on the first
Is
occasion.
progression required by state?
No.
It must not be if the attorney,
depends on the situation.
No, I mean in general. For example, you've got a minor infraction. Are you required to have progression?
That's why I think where the hearing would come
I
in.
don't know of any place, I've never read one that doesn't allow progression for a minor, but it always has a verbiage for a major that you don't have to follow all the minors.
Right, I mean, if he punches somebody or she punches
Sure.
somebody, bang, you're
It's
out.
insubordination or whatever, you can always go.
Theft or
Yep.
something like that. Okay,
My only concern is part of my original concern, there's no timeline in any of this. That you can write somebody up today and that stays in their file, so it counts as their second time in 6 months, or is it a 2 and 30 in 3 months? Usually whenever that is there is a timeline involved
but
in your
couldn't,
progression of the steps.
couldn't that be a managerial, in other words, if you wrote somebody up and 3 years from now, you got your second write-up? Then you would, if you're the manager, you might say, well, I'm treating this as the first write-up.
I'm just thinking that you would want something to cover your butt, that's all. For both parties, for your employee and for us, I mean,
You write a guy up because he's smoking in the truck. And 3 years later, you write him up again.
correct.
Is that the first or the second?
And you might say, if I catch you again, you're done.
I
Should
mean,
we do first?
everything that I've ever dealt with, that would be 2 first.
because of the time,
Usually
because
after-
of the time frame.
So you
Usually
reset after a
3
year or
months-
so, yeah.
3 months, actually, if no occurrence, it's like a staircase, I know with ours anyway, and most other ones is, it's a stair going up, and after 3 months or 6 months, you go down a step.
That's very complicated.
I think.
Well, and plus, again, I think it would, like, this is where I would default maybe more to the manager. It would depend on the offense. If he's late for work, and then again in 3 years, that's one thing. If somebody steals a tool, and 3 years later he steals another tool, I wanna count both of those.
Now, I wanna fix it after the first one,
Well, no,
to me, that's a major offense, and
Well,
should be-
but-
but that's the thought process. yeah.
Right, so you could have, you might wanna erase a smoking violation, but you might not wanna erase falsifying your time card.
There again, it's.
Or you might terminate him on
I would
step
just
one.
question it, that's all, because I really, without steps, or without defined timelines and steps, I think it could get us in trouble.
Well, it's worth running by Katie.
That's all it needs, yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Job performance evaluation, I believe she combined.
Just before we leave that,
Okay.
my feeling is, like, that your initial reaction, like, that gets really complicated. We have a formula for every month, it's step, if it's possible, I would want simple over complicated, but.
Right,
Right, I
and
mean-
also, we're not talking about a huge employee pool. We're talking about two, three people. So to have these, you know, I mean, I understand if you're
Byzantine formulas.
if you've got, you know, 100 people that you're trying to keep track of, you've gotta have
But if
someone-
she
But it's
agrees,
not so much for that part of it, it's
Yeah.
when you go at the unemployment level. When you go to, for the employee to go to the employment office, that's where all of this stuff comes into play. And that's what I'm saying, that's where you need to cover us, but we also need to cover the employee.
Right.
So, and that's what and maybe I verbiaged that wrong, but basically, it's not like, so if you did something today, 3 months from now, or 6 months from now, that one falls off. So every time, it's that previous 3 to 6 month.
I don't wanna get stuck in the mud on this
No,
forever.
no, either.
No.
But, so you got a minor offense, and every 7 months, you commit that offense, and every time it's a 1.
Correct.
I would say
And you
that.
get
No,
a really
that's too
clever
much.
employee
Yeah,
who just.
he's late
You can
every,
go to every
Like,
employee in the area and they're dealing with the same problem because they all.
well, but I guess
You can't do anything about it.
my position would be, if it's legal, then we should do it the way we have it. If it's not legal, then we don't have a choice.
Right,
But that's ask her in that manner. If that scenario, when you comes time down the road between the hearing or an unemployment issue, that's where you get into the
Yeah,
technicality.
do we have to erase it after a
I
certain amount
mean,
of time?
because we are an at-will state for employment. Anybody can come to work tomorrow and you can tell anybody, I don't need you anymore.
Right.
So I mean, releasing anybody, you don't really need any of this.
Well, we need cause for
We
a
do,
municipal employee.
yeah.
Correct, but I mean,
That's why we're building this record. If
That's
you're
why
working
you
at
need
Numberall
to
and you're
make sure.
late, he can just send you home. No warnings, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But we can't do that. We'll get sued.
at the same breath, you need to do it right.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's why that's why we have this.
Yep.
In other towns I've been in, typically it's like a 1 year. You don't wanna get written up more than once in a year. Twice.
I'd really be, with Dale, I would like some direction from them.
So you wanna know, do we have to erase the infractions after a certain time frame, and what's,
Yeah, does your infraction stay there forever? I mean,
Right. Or can we give the manager discretion?
correct, if that's,
That would be ideal.
I mean, if they've been through this process on the municipal level enough and they say, no, that's minor infraction can stay there and you can, after 6 years or 3 years or whatever our steps are, or the same one, you can get rid of them, but.
okay. Can the manager have discretion over, severity of infraction?
Or length.
Yeah.
Length
Frequency
of,
or.
length of frequency, that would be.
and
is
we
that right?
did, and it wasn't in the one prior to this that we
It
just.
wasn't clear on that one either.
Okay, that's right. So it's not like we scrapped it.
Nope.
And it was there.
No, it wasn't there
Okay.
originally.
Right.
Okay,
No, and I think, I've never seen a jacket, but I wouldn't be surprised if you had an employee that you'd had for years. You could have something that was written up years ago.
Sure.
In fact, between
I
town
mean,
managers.
Like with us, we don't throw them away, they're still in your file, you can see everything. I mean, I've
Right.
been there, be 30 years this spring, like, they're all in there,
what?
Yeah.
yeah,
Part of your
And
permanent
once they're
record.
in there, they stay.
they stay, they don't come out.
Okay.
Job performance evaluation, I think she just combined a couple of things. We already had it in there. Personnel records, that was the same. Political activities, the same. Layoffs, I think she did adjust that, but it's basically the same. That has to do with seniority. I think that was one of the things that she was addressing in seniority. Resignation. The grievance procedure, she's outlined this a little more than what we had, I think. Oh, it looks the same. I think she changed the time frame in step 3. Instead of 30 days, it's 14 days. Because that matches the 14 days that was in the other section.
No, we could give more time, but I bet you that's the minimum.
In other words, you could make the window broader, but you can't make it less than 14, is my guess.
Probably. Personal time, this was the adjustment, taking out sick time.
Oh, that's right.
We still, I mean, you still have to allow them to take a sick leave if they are ill. So that is in there, but it's worded that they have to use their personal time first. Vacations,
5 days before we require doctor's note?
yeah.
That's kind of lengthy, isn't it?
That was the same amount that
Oh,
was
I
in
know
the
that.
previous report.
It's almost like somebody call in, get a free week off and not having to go to the doctor.
You wanna change it?
I don't really like hours, but ours is too short and I think this is too long, so
What's yours?
2 days.
2?
No, that's ridiculous.
It is.
You couldn't even get the flu.
Yeah, seriously.
No, I've had the flu that lasts longer than 5 days.
Yeah. Yeah, if you missed 2 days of work, you can't come back the third day with a doctor.
Without a doctor's note? Oh,
You can't even get into the doctor.
Yeah, exactly right. You can't even get into the doctor in 2 days.
Yeah, you can.
Oh, you gotta go to a walk-in clinic.
No, you just call them, so I get it.
Well, I mean, I called mine the other day, like, yeah, maybe next week sometime.
Yeah, but when you tell them you need to know to get back. to
Oh,
work,
yeah, they can charge you.
that's-
You want 3 days?
I don't want 3 days.
You want 5?
I don't, well, they only get 5.
Pardon?
It hasn't been an issue.
No.
no,
Yeah, and they only get 5.
right,
Right.
After that, they're not
So-
getting paid.
that's right, so,
I don't have a problem with the way it is.
right.
What's that?
They're burning off the 5.
Great. And if, you know what, if you got a problem, you will address it in other ways.
Vacation time, it says regular full-time salaried and full-time hourly. After 1 year, 5 days. After 3 years, 10 days. After 9 years, 15 days. Based on calendar, date of hire.
Yep,
Mm-hmm,
yep.
good.
So that's all changed.
But still generous, but we've created a little more
Trimmed it a
order,
little.
yeah. Yeah.
Family medical leave, she adjusted that.
That's
Took out-
all new stuff, isn't it?
No, it's been in there, but it was a lot more than.
Oh,
than
The
this.
back to the vacations, do we need language in this policy that grandfathers people who have qualified for what was a previous threshold?
I don't think you can take it away from them once.
Well,
they-
I don't want, but I'm saying, do we
We
need,
don't want to.
if
We just wanna
you
make
leave,
sure
if
that-
you
No,
end
I
up
know.
leaving and we end up leaving, can someone, we probably should have
Right.
language in here that grandfathers, or maybe you put that in their jacket.
Put her in their personnel file.
Yeah.
Put it in their personnel file, I'll
think
write
that would
something
be-
and have them sign
Yeah.
it.
Again, you're gonna be talking to her anyway, she'll tell you what, the best way to address that. I don't like putting an individual in the
Right, no,
policy,
no,
but putting something in the personnel file should work.
And this is just going forward.
Yes,
as far as-
correct. But we do have a
new
case
hires.
where an employee
Yes.
has already earned something on the old policy.
Right.
That wouldn't be on this policy.
That's
Right.
correct.
So yeah, I mean, between trimming this and between the way the sick leave and,
Cut that in
that's
half.
what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
No,
That's
it's,
good.
yeah, there's a lot of unpaid, or a lot of paid
Paid
hours that we're not
vacation,
paying
paid
for anymore.
Holidays.
This still is probably
still-
better than most citizens have.
30 years, they get 4 weeks.
You
Okay.
do? 30
And one
years?
personal year, one personal day. No sick
Other-
leave.
Use it
Leaves.
sparingly.
Jury duty, bereavement, reserve service leave, additional leaves, they had 2 different items that meant the same as additional leaves. So she combined it all into one on that one. Travel expenses, she didn't change. Smoking policy, this was, we talked about, especially for like the vehicles, we added the vehicles in here. It's prohibited throughout all municipal buildings and vehicles and near all public entrances. Applies equally to employees, customers, and visitors. Alcohol and drug testing, we left that, we needed to leave that. safety rules. I'm assuming we had that in the other policy.
I honestly can't remember.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. Social Security, health insurance and income protection, we know that's fine. She said that was fine. Retirement just says that we participate in American funds. It's optional. They can receive a town match for up to 3%.
Back on the safety though, all this is really doing is this saying must obey the safety rules.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have safety rules?
You have the PPEs. They're supposed to read them and sign off on them yearly.
Where is that?
That's,
But what I'm saying is, why isn't that part of this piece of the?
it's usually in a separate binder.
Okay.
I have to find
Retirement?
the binder.
The retirement, do you have to work for a year before you get the match?
No, because you don't have to for health insurance either.
Okay, so once your status is full-time, you could contribute and get the match,
Yep.
okay?
Personal effects clause. I think that's
Yeah,
what
we talked
had.
about this one. Yeah.
We were gonna
With the
add
cell
at
phone?
we were gonna add at the,
Did you see that?
Yeah,
yeah.
Is that?
Weren't we gonna add at the,
Where did you see
like, department heads were at the manager's discretion?
Yeah, because we talked about.
Yeah.
with regard to cell phone?
Reimbursement.
Monthly for the use of their personal cell phone.
Oh, yeah, monthly, right.
I would rather have it say the town manager and the department head will not be provided with a town cell phone, but will be reimbursed for a
Correct.
$20 per month stipend.
Period. All departments.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. That's better.
I mean, if you had a situation where you had an employee that you felt had to have a cell phone and they did not have one, then you could take it up with the board to buy a cell phone.
Right.
But in most circumstances, most people have a cell phone, or they're getting a job that you don't require them to have one anyway.
Right.
Honestly, if we get into that situation, I would be more aligned to buy the department a cell phone and stay
Right.
within the department.
Correct.
Right.
Not with the person.
Right.
Correct.
Right. Yep.
And that would apply to all departments. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
And that gets you out to, the better part is if we're not just doing it as a stipend,
That what? That we're just doing it as a stipend,
yeah.
the $20 a month.
This is the only thing is that the personal effects clause needs to, where this part can get.
Does that mean,
I can't believe that's mandatory.
no, I would ask her what is required. I mean,
Yeah.
if you drop your iPad out of your car when you're getting out to go look at a culvert, should the town buy you another one? I mean, I would think not.
And if we're paying you $20 a month stipend on your cell phone and you get out of your car and you drop it, are we responsible to replace it?
No, because you should be paying your $8.99 a month fee.
That's your choice. But the way this
That's
is,
not what this says. This says we are.
yeah,
Right.
Yeah, it does.
yep.
That's
And
why-
that would
We
be
could
the
just
same,
say exclude, right?
if one of the ladies is going to the bank and drops her cell phone into a manhole, are we gonna pay for that cell phone? I would think not. But this looks like we would.
Right, yeah,
Yeah, this
absolutely.
honestly needs to say the town agrees that personal effects which are damaged, lost, or destroyed in the line of duty will not be replaced.
The opposite of what it says.
No, you can say will be replaced, excluding iPad, cell
What are
phone,
you gonna replace then?
No, because what do we know?
boots, jacket,
Ring?
Yeah, no, personal
No.
effects, no.
No.
Because, I mean, we don't have
With
a
the
dollar
exception of
limit
the
on this
discretion
either.
of the
If I walk
manager.
out that door, my pocket catches on my door handle on my jacket and rips my jacket, and I have to get a new jacket.
No.
That's just life in the fast
Absolutely
lane.
not.
That would be called
What about-
SOL.
Yeah, I can tell you,
Are you kidding
if I
me?
rip the sleeve off a $500 suit in the elevator going into my office,
Alright,
they're
but
not gonna pay for
what if
that.
I'm sawing wood with a chainsaw and I cut my boot?
And then I would hope our
Then
manager
you
would
should have
write
been
you
more
up for
careful.
inappropriate
Chainsaw.
operation.
That's right. That's right.
Would follow our,
Yeah, no,
No.
no.
I think there's
Well,
some
I
things
would-
that
I
you
would-
want.
But how do you define personal effects?
I would
A diamond
agree
ring?
to a management clause.
I would agree to remove it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. We can't afford that.
Well, it's just no
It's an
right.
open end.
It, again, I try to measure these, how the rest of us
Right,
live.
right.
And none of us, if you drop your cell phone in True's parking lot, they are not going to buy you another one.
Hey, you don't have it in here, but like in your safety, if you have a safe employee, you could, if you wanna have an allowance for safety shoes or something like that. That type of thing, I would be way more in favor of than something like this. I think we do like, I can't remember, it's $50, $75 towards safety shoes or safety glasses, or if you wear prescription lenses.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, and if you go to Walmart, they cost you $42, so you actually get them for free.
Wow.
Town vehicle policy, we condensed that too.
Oh, yeah,
Short,
that's
sweet.
nothing
It's
about
prohibited.
taking it home and
Right,
the night
exactly.
before or after a meeting or whatever that might be. That was silly.
All right, so we're getting there. I
Yep.
mean, we're getting there.
That's good. Yes. Good
This thing
job.
might actually get a vote next time we
All
review it.
right.
Good job.
So do we want to go to, oh, it's next anyway.
Item 8, new business, plow bid for 1819.
Right, so I received 2 bids, and the first one, this was what I sent. It was in 4 sections. So the first one was appendices A, B, and C, which included, A was south side, which is the same kind of plow contract sections we have now. B was east side, and C was in town. It's just the mileage. So A, B, and C was a total of 35.54 miles. I increased the gray road to 1 mile. We double checked some of the other mileages. We had Knowlton Mills separated from the Burrows Road. Irving, I looked over it and he did some measuring of his own vehicle, so should be fairly accurate. Section 2 was requesting a bid on after-season sand cleanup, because we know we have to rent a vehicle sweeper to clean up the sand, particularly in town and intersections. Section 3 for clearing around the town's fire hydrants after each storm. Now this one, I ended up talking to the water guy, Lance, and we have 20, well, Lance told me we had 21, but when Jeff came and delivered my map of all of our hydrants, he told me there's 23. So, but Lance told me that...
As long as we get billed for 21, go with it.
But Lance told me that typically the water district plows around them anyway and cleans around them. He said on occasion, he said, you know, if it gets really deep, the town, he asks the town to assist cleaning the important fire hydrants. So, and we have done that in the past on the town side. Number 4, the town of Sangerville is requesting a bid on snow removal at town parking lot, the town office parking lot, the fire department, the boat launch, and parking at the Veterans Memorial Field, sidewalks, the Abbey Fowler School Building, and the Main Street parking area by the monument that's down here. I don't think I forgot anything. So anyway, we received 1 bid, only bid on the east side. And then the other bid was a full bid for he bid on all 4 sections, and with an option to renew up to 3 years, because I had put in maybe a possibility for up to 5 years. If we want to go more than a 1 year, you have to have it approved at town meeting. So he just said with option to renew up to 3 years. So we had from Ride Out, he was the one that bid on B, east side only, $4,093 per mile. And C&W Newt, they bid $3,400 per mile on section 1. That's all 3 of the roadway sections, the appendices. It's number 2, which was sand cleanup. He bid $2,000. Number 3, which was the fire hydrants, he bid $1,000 to help out the water district. And number 4, doing all the parking lots, sidewalks, all of that, $16,000.
How much?
16. I think I'm reading that correctly.
Any
And
idea
that-
where we're gonna be at on labor? Because realistically, your public works, that's, I don't know, it's kinda hard because you did part-time for,
I haven't printed that off from November 1st last year. I needed to do that, didn't I? You told me to do that.
It's one right up.
Nope, start the clock.
see why you want them to fall off? It's for you, it's not just for us. Looking out for you too, you know? Alright.
Well, we know in the past, we've spent approximately $65,000 from November 1st to April 30th for all of the public works, to do all of the plowing that in town, the sidewalks, the parking lots.
And we rented a sweeper last
we
year
rented
that
a
was
sweeper.
more than the 2,000,
I believe it was.
that long. Saying about labor,
Right.
so that's
So that cleanup, that sand cleanup, that is, we're not running any equipment. Is that
No,
correct?
No, it's.
Okay, that
they're doing
is
it all.
the job done.
That would
Okay.
be, they would have to rent it, correct.
Okay.
Otherwise, we have to do it. You have a
We
sweeper?
have a sweeper for skid steer.
go right on the front of a tractor too.
Perfect. Good.
I mean, you can pick off 1, 2, 3 and table 4 until I can do that, or
My only
Oh, those are the only
question,
2 bids that you,
those were the only 2
Two
bids that I
companies that-
received, and I have copies here of all of the letters that I sent out, and I believe there were 11 that I sent out to, and those were the only 2 that I received back.
my only question that I would have, and would be for CW is if we can get rid of the Abbey Fowler between now and next fall, I don't wanna, the way you're verbiaged, you're paying X amount to clean the parking lots.
Right.
If we can get rid of that property by next fall, that's a pretty big reduction in parking lots. If that number could be adjusted, if that is sold.
That's fine.
You would be willing to.
that's fair.
It's very fair, I just,
Yep.
Yep.
Things change.
Yep.
I'm not counting on that one changing, but you never know.
your glass has gotta start filling up on that conversation.
I was
It's
doing
way
good on
low.
that one for a while too.
I know.
So the option of renewal sounds like something that is available to us whether we commit to more than 1 year or not. Is that a fair way to look at it?
I believe so. What we were thinking was go a year, see how things are going in town.
If everybody's happy with
If
everybody,
everybody's happy,
you do it again for
do it
this?
again. Either for the next 2 or just another one.
Sure.
And renew for another year, but making it this price
Right.
for up to 3 years.
Oh, so you wouldn't increase each
No.
year?
No,
He's locking
this will
in
be
that
for up to
price for
3
3 years.
On a handshake, basically.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, actually, it's in writing.
It allows us to budget ahead
Correct.
Right.
But that's what I'm saying.
without literally a 3-year commitment, which is kind of a nice flexibility to have.
Right.
the economy went crazy, things went
Right.
through the roof on prices, you know, we would have to allow it to go out for bid and bid it again and see if we got it again, if we needed an increase. But the way things are going, we would honor that price for 3 years. Unless things go crazy out in the world.
My only question for that amount of money, and the way we're supposed to be doing things, and we can't, would we as a board next year have to put it up for bid again anyway?
I don't believe you would have to. I think you can call the contractor and say, would you be willing to do another year? I think you can do that a certain number of times before you have to put it back out for bid.
No, it would, if we wanted to, let's say the opposite happens, the economy goes to pieces and gasoline's 50 cents a gallon.
You may
We can
want
bid
to.
it again.
Sure.
Right.
So we're not,
So-
our hands really, the
right.
town's not tied up.
Right.
It's, I think it's a,
Yeah, it'd be a two-way street,
Yeah.
as far as I'm concerned.
Problem.
That would be great.
yes, it would be great, wouldn't it?
Here's Chris.
Oh, jeez.
Do you have any more questions about?
I don't, I mean, it's pretty cut and dry, I mean,
It's basically soup to nuts, it's everything.
It's
Yep.
everything.
Sidewalks, cleanup. Now, what about sand?
that's a very good question. I know we didn't do it this year, last year we did, when we put it out, we did put you guys could, the contractor could bid it,
Could choose.
plow or bid it and put the sand up too.
Now, we can still do that, but we don't have to link it to this contract. And that might be, there's some advantages to that. Because there might be entities that would bid on sand that wouldn't bid on this.
Correct.
And we can approach that as a separate, that probably is a better way, but we definitely need to talk about sand.
The only way it wouldn't be a better way, and if they wanted to propose a plowing rate with the sand. And then we could compare that to what we've been spending and how we've been doing it.
Right, which they'll get an opportunity to do.
That's correct.
Yep. So we can leave the sand off from this discussion.
Yeah.
Right?
But at the same token, I would definitely like to have their opinion on how much sand they
Yeah,
think
well,
that we should.
that would be valuable.
The only thing about the sand, right now, we're really enjoying the sand pile. There's no rocks in it.
Ah.
It's salt in it.
Hmm,
We've just got off 3 years of bad sand. It was pretty foul.
Wow.
It left taste in our mouths, you know.
Yeah.
And it took three years to correct it. A low bidder is not always the best on sand.
Lots of.
That's my opinion.
Yeah.
I personally noticed first time ever that Silver's Mills was melting at 10 degrees. Never seen that
First
before.
time in
until
10 years
Yep.
So,
for us. We've had salt enough in it to do anything.
Did you get your salt delivered today?
By 2 o'clock when I left, I cleaned up around the sand pile. And I had to go tinker the truck a little bit and do a few other things. So I don't know if salt came or not. Maybe.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, the in-town plowing, because I live in town and I live off on an in-town road, is amazing. It's the Thomas Road is
it's an improvement.
perfect. It's perfect. It's not icy, it's wide, and it's done meticulously, so they're doing a good job, very good job. And the roads in Dover are so bad and so icy. It's been a very challenging year. And it's remarkable when you come across the line. The roads in Sangerville are in excellent shape. I don't know about Silver's Mills, and I haven't been out your way.
my road's been good. I mean, when you got this ice,
Yeah.
if anybody, I only received 1 call so far this winter. That's it. So, and I will guarantee you that I received,
Jinxed yourself.
oh, I'll take it. Because compared to how many I got last year,
Oh, I know, it was ongoing last year.
it was every day, multiple times, a day, every day.
But I think being able to melt some of this stuff makes a
It
difference.
does make a big difference.
But
So,
as you said, it's because of the mix.
salt, and
Right.
I've been
So,
lacking that for 10 years.
yeah. So you're doing a really, really good job.
We're trying. So
Really?
right now, we're loafing, we'll probably get fired.
I know.
But I mean, honestly, last year I got a substantial amount of calls of in-town complaints. They
Really?
weren't just all out-of-town complaints. McFeeters Road was very narrow, a lot of, lots of
And
complaints
then
there.
Thomas Road got even more narrow than
Oh.
McFeeters.
Multiple times I'd come into the town office with one of the ladies with the phone out to here and just begging me to take the phone, complaining about this section up here, because people couldn't get up over the hill, so.
Oh, yeah.
And I've been purposely going that way about every day after work, and I've yet to not go up over that hill in two-wheel drive in my pickup and have not had a single expense.
I drive it every day. I haven't had any problems. But.
But tonight could be an issue because no one's.
Yeah.
Oh, very.
See if he's working.
He's on the job.
As long as he gets that little section.
Well, and that's the other thing too, that everybody, you know, every time we've ever done this, they actually have 3 full-time people plowing. We don't have that option when we plow. And they have people to call in when they need backup,
Right.
that we never had that for.
And they're fixing their own equipment and keeping it running.
And we're saving money to boot.
Right.
A lot of it. Go ahead. Yep.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion that we accept CW Newt's plowing bid. Should I read the 1, 2, 3, and 4, or?
You want the comprehensive bid on all components.
Okay. So we're gonna accept CW Newt's bid. And this is a 1-year pricing with an option to renew up to 3 years. There's a part 1, 2, 3, and 4. I don't need to read all of them, do I? That are delineated on the snow plowing bid. And I'm making a motion to accept all 4
For 1 year.
for 1 year.
Second.
Any further discussion? Those in favor? It's unanimous. None opposed.
You get all this we need.
You don't have the option.
Option.
Is it B, town report printing?
I had four bids on printing, and the cheapest is $669. I can't beat that.
$669.
How many copies is that?
350. Last year it was only 300, and you paid a lot more than that. But this is Bromar from Skowhegan.
What's their next, if you reduce the amount of copies, what's the cost or staggering or? Because I'm pretty sure we have a lot of extras every year.
No, you only had 300 last year, and you ran out.
That's because I took one, my husband took one, you probably took one, you took one, right?
Because we,
So we have.
so
some people
350 should be an improvement.
It's typically 350. Last year was 300.
I'm just thinking, like, years past, there's always boxes of them well after
Well,
that they
who
get
knows,
rid of
but
the.
how-
Right, but we paid over $800 last year.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
And how many were ordered last year?
300.
300.
Oh.
So we're getting significantly more for significantly less.
So we're saving money.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And I had.
It's going the right way.
Yeah, the company that we got from last year was over 1,200 for 350. So, and I wasn't going to solicit a lot of bids. They called me.
Don't get, well, that makes
Yeah.
sense. They know we gotta,
We're doing town reports for towns. Can we give you a quote?
Oh, very
I
good.
love that.
Very
Sure
good.
can.
Yeah.
Very
That's the way it
good.
should be.
So
do you
That's
need a
great.
motion for that?
no, it's $669.
Okay. Congratulations.
I'm doing it.
I'm doing it. Town hall report printing, okay. And you still need we need to come up with a photograph for the front.
I thought we were gonna do the gazebo that they
Okay.
had.
That's good.
That's fine. Well, all right, we're still open. Still
We're
open.
still open,
Okay.
but we do
I'm
need,
opposed.
we do need our dedication. and you're gonna need your letter. I sent you sample letters.
Okay,
Yes.
we will peruse them.
I was accustomed to the chair.
You did what? Oh, it's the custom of the chairman to write it.
Oh, there you go, good.
Well,
Perfect.
I officially offer mine. Item C, Randall Pellerin email. We had kind of a back and forth of emails, the only reason we're addressing this is because it got sent again to a large group of people as well as us. Essentially, Melissa is making an inquiry as to whether C&W Newt are plowing the full length of the Gray Road this time or not, and Lois explains what they're doing. There wasn't a lot of follow-up, but my bigger concern was, Rick Pellerin responded to all and said, I've followed this in the past, and as a previous road committee member, I did not want anything done to this part of the road, plowing or improving it. Previous town managers decided to improve it on his own. Then I thought everything was stopped. Now we've been asked to plow, opening another can of worms. I had thought that this was all decided and nothing was going to be done. That email kind of surprised me because I had had a conversation with Rick almost exactly a year ago when that narrative about the town manager doing things up there and no one knew about was being promoted, and shared with him what I had learned from listening to the audio and all the minutes, and reminded him that that was not true. And he admitted, he said, you know what, I forgot about that phone call. And so I just wanted it on the record. He said, I didn't want to cause trouble, and I said, I'm sure you didn't, but I just wanted him to remember, so.
But this was never redacted to.
I'm not aware that I never
received.
got one saying, I made a mistake,
Yeah.
sorry about that.
Yeah.
But, I'm sure he's busy, but he did say he forgot, so. Interestingly, with regard to that, when I was kind of preparing for what we're doing and what we're going to have to do, there were days where there were road committee members present at those meetings, as well as the road commissioner. Because one of the things that he had mentioned, that Rick mentioned to me, was that the road commissioner had come to him and was concerned. Well, none of those people are concerned in the meetings.
Actually, one of the committee members made reference, I can't remember the date, we could go back and find it, but one of the road committee members did state that
Yeah,
it
no,
was
Brent
positive, and Brent Randall said that-
says the road committee supports this project.
Correct.
We're just concerned about the cost. They agree that you should be able to drive up, and so, now maybe there was a disconnect within the committee, that's possible, I don't know that, but so anyway, that was the only reason I just wanted it on the record that's not how he recalls it now. He made a mistake, so. Budget review?
We did some of this last night, but you specifically had asked for 15 and 16 expended, and I did put that in there. That's what I spent my time doing today.
Okay.
That's awesome,
And you
that's
gave me
so
my-
helpful.
You gave me my totals.
I didn't have enough time to do division totals, but I did what totals? I gave you-
Oh, I thought you did do totals.
No, I didn't.
Oh,
I didn't
sorry.
have time for that, I'm sorry.
Alright.
But I
I'll
did
forgive
get
you.
all of these, hey.
Okay, so I have
I
a
got
question.
2 years, Don.
I have a question because, I don't know.
You're just a curious George.
No, I don't, never mind. Or do I? Yeah, I guess I do. I'll ask the question.
Okay.
So, we have that bond that we were supposed to repay.
This, 61,600, the general
Which article,
obligation
which
bond.
department was that under?
It's,
25, Division 25. It's like third or fourth page from the end, very bottom. It was 6160 per year. So when we budget that there, do we also add that in on the last page is revenue?
Well, we had that discussion at, we had that discussion.
I
At the
understand.
budget committee, and I'm gonna have my auditor, she will be here next Wednesday. And I'm going to have her look at this and tell me exactly how we want to have that in there. Do we wanna put it in as revenue, or, because this is paying back at the town's undesignated reserve account. So if we're paying it back, do we count it as revenue?
I don't
That's the
understand how you
question.
can't.
But we,
I understand what you're thinking, and I am of the same exact mind, but my thought process is, it is revenue, and you do know it, it should be on that revenue line.
well, I have it in the revenue line, or I did have it until the budget committee questioned it. So I'm going to clarify with the auditor to make sure.
So if it's on the revenue line, let her figure it out. Okay.
I think,
What's that
my
article
opinion is
number?
it should be on the revenue line.
This was a 2015 annual town meeting, Article 52,
Okay.
March 28, 2015.
Because I mean, you should be budgeting it on as part of your revenue, because you know that's income coming into the town.
Yeah,
That's my opinion.
that's what I.
If you could find that out for me, I'd appreciate it.
It was on the, because there was some talk that it got missed. It didn't get missed, it was budgeted.
Last year, but it wasn't paid by a check in 2016. I actually paid it with a check in 17. I wrote the check and then I. wrote
Was it on the
your
revenue
cash
line
receipt.
then?
They didn't budget anything.
No, you don't know.
They didn't budget
Okay.
for it,
Okay.
but they were.
Are we done with the budget, or do we want to spend more time on this tonight?
The only thing that I actually did do, and I did not bring it with me, it's like one of the only things I didn't bring with me tonight. I did look at the reserves and start trying to come up in my mind where I think numbers that they ought to lie. And I really want to get through that. Yep, but I want everybody to think about that and to see if we can't do that.
Have a rhyme or reason to it, as
Yep.
opposed to just an endless
An
bucket.
endless
Right.
bucket. That
Yeah.
way there, the budget committee and future boards could look at a reserve account and they could say, oh, that's supposed to have 15 to 20 or 10 to $15,000 in it, so.
For a purpose.
Yep.
It could be an
Well, I don't even
emergency,
care
but
about
at
the
least
purpose,
it's, yeah.
but if you at least, right now, we have all these open accounts, you know, your public works account, equipment is up to 113. You know, to me, how much more are we gonna put in there?
So you want a max, a min, and
Yeah.
a goal,
Yeah,
is what you said?
a max and a min, where we should try to maintain those at, and
Yep.
that would help us to decide, ooh, I really need to put 5,000 in it this
This
year,
year.
or now I don't even need to put anything in it this year.
Right, or we can take from.
Traditionally, it's felt like, at least from the couple of years that I was on the budget committee, there was an effort to continually feed those reserve accounts, just as long as you could. And I agree with Dale, there should be some
Yeah.
overall strategy
And
there.
this has been discussed in the budget committee of a want for a couple of years as well, so. I don't know how much good it would do going forward, but
I don't know if you'd put it in a policy or just.
Yeah, it does get tough, but at least
it'd be something.
we'd have a rationale.
My other question was, because you mentioned it, kinda, this is what I thought about afterwards. Is this actually all the reserve accounts, or is this only the reserve accounts that have a balance in them? So meaning, do we
Right.
have other accounts that aren't listed but don't have funds in them?
Whatever was on the first line, yeah, like Sangerville days, had the
Uh-huh.
reserve and that's expended, so I didn't put it on there.
Right.
It has
So
zero.
that's the only other one is,
That I'm aware of.
I still would, I don't understand how you can't get rid of those. If there's a zero balance for 5 years, you would think there would be a statute there that if you
You
don't,
just drop it off.
yeah, you don't have to keep
Right.
maintaining that
Reserve, that line.
line is really a better word, because a zero reserve is a zero.
Right.
You don't have any funds in it.
Yeah.
Can I see that
They're
reserve
defunct.
list? What was the school we were talking about?
The Thomas School on my road.
Do you know the Thomas School
The
Trust?
Thomas School Ministerial Trust. What is that?
There's how much money in it?
$4,087.
$4,000 in it,
Thomas School.
Thomas School Mysterial.
right on the Thomas Road.
I've never heard, that must be you.
So we got all of these town fathers here and none of them know about the Thomas. Where's Irving? We need Irving.
There is.
Never heard of
That's
it.
it.
Huh.
What's that?
What's
Probably
that?
a
Pile of rocks.
out there, down the school.
Never heard of it.
I never heard of it.
Well, I really think that we should be able to use some of that reserve fund to help plow that road to get to that. Somebody might wanna go up there and cherish those rocks.
Tonight.
Right.
And tonight is a very good night.
Well, you know-
But I mean, it's just, we have funds available that we don't even know what they're for.
Right.
I've been involved with town politics, well, for a lot of years, but since '93, big time.
Wait, sorry, what did you say, Lynn?
I've been involved with town politics since I moved back here. And seriously involved since '93, and I've never even heard of it.
So instead of it being called ministerial, it should be called mystery?
Mystery. I would say that, find out what it is, and if you can, it needs to be eliminated. The town has to vote.
The town would have to vote to make that part of the general, or
Yeah,
was it,
yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Now, actually, seems how you've been involved since '93.
Yeah.
When I read these accounts, how do you decipher what they actually could be used for? So,
Well, I can tell you in the past, Dale, that there have been a couple of times that they were used inappropriately.
that's my question. How do you define that?
Well, they should stipulate exactly what they're for.
By ordinance?
When the town votes, okay, to put money into a specific account for a specific purpose, they do it at the town meeting.
Take the top one, the biggest account.
Public Works equipment,
Yeah,
in stereo.
yeah.
What can you buy with that?
Public Works equipment.
Can you rent Public Works equipment?
No, you've got to.
Can you lease it?
You've got rental, you've got a rental equipment
But
account.
does it say that, no?
Equipment rental account.
Does it say that in that
It
ordinance?
just says Public Works equipment.
Doesn't say purchase, doesn't say rent.
Let me tell you how it used to work,
I-
back in the day, okay? We had our own equipment. We paid ourselves based on the usage of that equipment, okay? So that's how that got generated, that money went into that account, okay? We don't do that anymore.
You mean like a state rate, like they say a dump truck's worth X amount? So
Yeah, if
you
the
put so
town
many.
used a plow truck,
Mhm.
used it so many hours, you charged yourself for the use of the plow truck, okay? And that's the way that it was done, okay? It's like a depreciation.
So that you would be building up a fund that when that truck needed to be replaced,
Right.
it was ready to be
You had the
replaced.
money.
Right,
You had the money.
right.
And I was always of the firm belief that when you generated the money from that truck, you didn't go out and buy a different piece of equipment. Because when it got time to replace the plow truck, you had no money.
Correct.
And I seen that happen time and time again. And I argued in town meeting about that. You shouldn't be doing that. But
But we're in a position, we'll stick with that one for, if this all works, the way it's working right now, we could address those reserves and go to the town and use them for paving or something like that, because we're no
Exactly.
longer in the
Exactly.
plowing business.
that's right.
But
The
we
town
probably ought
can
to
do what
wait
they
for a
want to
while.
do with them. You can.
Right,
Right, the
right.
voters.
But we could pave with it if we decide, if the
Legislative.
town decides it doesn't need it anymore.
That's right. Like the Thomas one.
Like the elevator fund.
Yeah.
The elevator fund, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
And you know, these little buckets, $4,000 here, $5,000 there, they start to add up.
Yeah. But it helps their investment.
Well, I'd rather.
It does this year.
Yeah. Okay, we need to do a little research on that church.
So realistically, all of these reserve accounts, do you need to find them back in the actual town ordinance, the town meeting that they were started in to get that verbiage?
And then maybe not.
And then maybe not, right?
Correct. But I mean, that's where we have to start, is that,
What about Alvina? She seems like a plethora of knowledge.
Well, those,
I bet even Urban would probably, might be able to help you with that one, that maybe. At least give you a year to look.
Well, it may not be, it's not just 1 year.
No, that's not.
No, but when it was,
You have to go back to the first year that it was created.
But then you have to know if it was amended or if they changed it.
right, but the original Public Works, they were buying hay to feed the oxen. I mean, these are old reserve accounts.
Yeah. Some of them are.
Make sure you have enough money to buy feed for the oxen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're not gonna find, I don't think you're gonna find specific, that's the big one. In a year, we're gonna have a lot better idea, we're not gonna add to it,
No,
so.
no. Right.
Not after the views of our discussion from last time.
Okay. Any more on this budget, or do we wanna,
I'm okay with it. We're finishing the budget committee meeting on Monday, and they should have gone through theirs, the full, to make their recommendation, and then I think you guys wanna get together. So I don't know, do you wanna have your own meeting where you go line by line, or do you wanna, I'm not sure.
we can do another workshop and finish ours up, maybe, you know, a lunchtime thing or something,
Oh,
because
I
we
can-
don't have much left.
I can email it to you, and you can just fill in your numbers.
Yep.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'll probably attend Monday to sit through where they're at, get an idea. And
Yeah, we're very close to being ready for that.
Okay,
And I definitely appreciate the couple members that did come to our
Yep,
workshop
yep.
last night.
yeah.
Because I mean,
It helps.
yeah, because now they kind of can see our thoughts.
Where we're going
So I'm
and
hoping
what
that
our
will
goals
help
are.
them get finished up.
Right.
And I do like the idea of both groups not working together, but
Right.
working at the same time too. It shows a little more openness of what everybody's trying to get done.
Right. I think we're doing good progress too. I mean,
We should have no problem being ready.
It's first week of February. I mean,
Yeah, no, it's unheard of.
So we're in good
usually in
shape.
scramble mode as far as I'm, yeah.
it's not me.
Okay,
No.
See, wipe out that.
That's right.
Right
then
up.
Get,
Not yet. Gotta hold it for at least
3
3
months.
years.
No, I just did something good. It nails that
You just,
right up.
but he wants to hold it for 3 years. It's his fault. See, if you would've gone with me, we could've got rid of that for you.
manage your own discretion.
That's right.
I may let her off on that. Tax acquired property,
We have one parcel, it's Michael Warford.
that's a little close to home right there.
Wow. It is, map 1, lot 8-1. It's, I don't know what street it's on. Usually it says what street it's on.
It's in town, map 1,
No, it's,
isn't it?
no, it's like 12 acres. It's 12.8 acres.
oh,
What's the address?
I'm not seeing an address on there. Anyway, we sent, you know, all our proper notices for liens and then when the 2015 lien was coming due, the foreclosure notice, we sent it to the 21 Renfrew Street, just like we should have. I brought it to you before in December after the November 28th cutoff day, and I sent him an additional because he hadn't accepted his notice. So I sent him an additional certified letter, but I also sent it snail mail, regular. I don't have either one of them returned yet, although I do know that the certified one was not
Delivered?
claimed.
Oh.
Was not claimed. So I Googled them because
Oh.
you never know if this person passes away. They're from Massachusetts. His deed does not have any heirs or assigns. It's strictly him, so there is nobody else to contact. There is no mortgage holders. When you Google him, the first thing that comes up is he's been arrested for drug trafficking in Massachusetts.
This could belong to the DEA.
So, oh,
That
don't
would
tell
be-
me that.
oh.
So,
Wouldn't that be a?
so I sent the link to the article.
They still have to pay the tax.
The news article. I sent
You sent who the link? Us?
MMA.
Oh,
I sent MMA the news article, you know, and just told them that we had done everything we're supposed to,
Let
and I
these
sent
guys-
them a copy of the
Any
deed.
of them recognize
You
that?
give me just a second, I'm gonna have it for you.
And they said as long as I've sent all my proper notifications, the November 28th foreclosure date stands.
aha.
So
Okay.
even though he was arrested December 12th, because November 28th,
What do the taxes do? What's the amount?
it's not a whole lot.
And it was just 1 year?
Because there's no building on it, it's just land.
Yeah, he's got like a
It's like
camper
$200 or $300.
Tampers.
3 years. Yeah. We have to do 3 years.
Yeah, it'd be 15, 16, 17.
Oh, right.
So like, probably it's like $1,000. And he got caught with like a lot of money, $100,000. I mean, he couldn't
Really?
pay his taxes. Yeah.
That's to make the next purchase.
That's right.
his inventory.
Buy out the abutters.
And well, and I actually, at the time, before I sent the last certified, I Googled him. Well, I didn't Google him, I found him, I looked him up, I knew he lived in Massachusetts, Methuen. And so I went to their registry of deeds and he has a home there. I mean, he still owns this 21 Renfrew Street. Everything was still there, so I knew that the address was correct. No questions about the address. He just didn't pay him.
So now what happens?
I think we have to, I don't think we have to do any other research more than that.
Which
But
lot is that?
do you want to, I mean, consider your options of, do you want to just take highest bidder? Do you want to get it appraised? Do you want to, I mean, there's different things, you know, on a minimum bid, that kind of, and put it out to bid. You have to advertise it in the
Which
newspaper.
lot?
Did you find it? Figure it out?
Where's it, it shows it on the tax map, doesn't it?
Yeah, map 1 lot,
Yeah, but,
8-1.
yeah,
So we have to,
in my brain, I can't remember which lot
I
that
can go
is.
get the tax
No.
maps, but
That would certainly help
I
us.
didn't, I thought I could have grabbed the whole.
But in terms of the process,
right,
our
right.
options are, we can get it
I
appraised.
think it is. I think it's right off the golf road, just as you
It
said.
is.
Yeah, I think
We
it
put
is.
Where
that
it
lot
is.
in,
Oh, you did?
just before the swamp.
It's right off, it in its frontage on 23.
It's right before the brook, right? Or is it after the brook?
I'm looking
Part of
at it.
that field behind.
Frontage on 23?
Yep,
Yeah.
it's both. It's in behind, it goes all around that, the big brown house.
Yeah,
Yeah.
was Bill Gurley's.
Yeah, where's the golf road? Oh, way down. No,
Yeah.
Dexter.
Oh, Dexter, yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah, we did that.
That
We
sounds
did that
right.
gravel pad and they put that camp.
Oh, it's down that far, behind the brown
Does it
house?
have any
Yeah.
services to it?
Before you get to the
Electricity,
90-degree turn?
water? It-
Or because it's on 23?
Does
It's
it
on
have a
20,
well?
yeah. Map 1 is 23, the next, starts the next
No.
No
line.
well.
No
It's
well.
map
No
1.
well, no septic.
Oh, there's an old shed with the glass windows in it. You think that's?
No,
On the
no.
farm stand.
No,
Yeah,
it's just
it's
the
by
barn stand.
The farm stand is the field, that's a separate piece of property. So it goes up a narrow strip between the
Yeah.
farm stand and that other
Right,
property.
Hartford's, used to be Hartford's.
Yep, and then it goes in behind that brown house.
So it's a strip and then it
Yeah.
gets bigger for your 12 acres?
Right there, it's number 8. It's right in that
It
corner.
doesn't go up to the golf road too?
Yep, it does.
Yeah.
That's what
It's got more frontage on the golf road than it does on 20.
And the driveway goes to the golf road?
Oh, I see, yeah.
That's not bad property.
Geez, it's wet.
Oh,
Is
Well,
it wet?
It's wet.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's corduroy, it's corduroy.
It's like a water sewer or anything? on it?
No,
Water sewer.
nothing, nothing.
Oh, I see.
No
The
electricity.
taxes are just under 500, so
Yeah.
it's probably about 1,500
Yeah.
in taxes due.
We beat it.
You did, Dale.
8-1?
8.
8.
It's right on the corner. It's a,
I didn't know those were online.
it's over here. Yeah, right there.
Yeah.
That's it.
Right there.
Nope,
8-1?
8-1, yeah, it's right there.
I thought it was 8.
He thought it was this one.
Chris said 8.
8-1, oh,
Where-
it's 8-1.
Oh, so it's that next better.
8-1.
That is better.
So it's
Whoa.
this piece right here.
That's a big
It's
piece
a
of
nice,
property.
nice big square piece.
Didn't there used to be a house in there on that too?
No.
So the house is on 8.
The old brown
Yeah,
house.
I know, the house is on 4.
That brown house is on this lot.
Oh, it could be, because that's right, because
It's
the
either
golf
8 or
road,
8-2.
the house is.
That's not a bad
Dexter,
piece of
right?
property, really.
So it doesn't have anything on 23?
No, it doesn't.
Okay. It's all on the
No,
golf.
I looked up at,
Right.
they said
Where's
8.
That's better than the other one.
It
Where,
is.
point to it.
North Dexter.
I know, but where is the road? Point.
Right by the
Oh, I
fence.
see, I see.
Yeah,
I see.
it's right, you know where the county
This is
line
the
is?
road,
Yeah,
here's
yeah.
the
The
road.
golf road is right there on your right.
Yeah, that's not a bad piece of ground.
See, right here, it's golf road.
Is this a
This is
discontinued
Dexter,
road
this is,
though?
No.
this is Dexter's piece, this is Sangerville's piece.
Correct.
Right, but is there a road here?
Oh, yeah.
This
That's,
is a
that
road?
line is like a line road.
This line is a line road.
But is it travelable?
Oh, yeah.
It's not discontinued?
Oh, no, it's all hot tub.
No, it's taxed.
But what is
Dexter
it,
plows
23?
out.
It's not 23.
No, it's the golf road. The 23 is the intersection. You got the main street.
Ah.
Over here, Judy.
But
Yeah.
that piece of the golf road, Dexter actually owns, maintains.
This is 23.
Oh,
That's the
oh,
line,
that's
and then the golf
23.
road cuts
Oh.
back,
Get your
that's where
cement
we
bridge
are.
right here where the
Okay.
T is,
Okay.
the road right up here. It's right on the town line.
I
See, this goes up, Parkman plows this piece for us.
I see.
Yeah, we trade off with us.
And we do
Yeah.
half of the feeders road.
Yep.
For the trade-off.
Ah, I understand, I
We
know.
used to come down, pick the plows up, go across here.
In fact,
plows
you
on
guys,
the
you could come that way if you wanted to go to Dexter. You could swoop all, rather than coming down 23. I sometimes, if I'm coming to town, I'll go all the way around the lake.
road. That one there.
Oh.
It's kind of a pretty drive.
I've never
It's-
been
it
down
gets
there.
You've never come in that way?
I'm pretty
Because
sure that-
the high ground in Parkman, you can overlook the lake that you're on.
It's
beautiful.
To be right in this corner.
Yeah.
It's not that
Okay.
pretty over there, but
Right,
it's a
right.
nice road.
Okay.
String of crappy houses up through here, the
Yep.
brown one in the corner.
So is this wet? Is that wet as well
Where
as that?
where that camper is.
Oh,
But it
okay.
starts right uphill.
So
It'll be
I
a
will-
bidding war.
I will make sure I get you a time, just like we're doing with the discontinuance.
Yep,
I'll get you directions on.
What
the
we have
proper
to do.
procedure, step by step.
You get back here a ways.
Okay,
You can't handle that without a license.
next.
Mowing.
I think we just should talk about it. I do have the rec field, both sides. He bid two, it in two halves. So for the first half on the left, it's 1,800. For the other half on the other side, it's 2,000. But that's for up to twice a week on the soccer field, because he said that what they've put in there for fertilizer is going to make that grass grow more. So he would have to mow it a little bit more.
Yeah.
I can fence that, we can put my horse in on it and chew that off, I won't even
Yeah.
charge you.
And I told him to make sure
Nice guy, I'll do
to add like down by the road and around that parking area and those rocks, anything that the public works have been doing.
I really would like to see myself, but I don't wanna talk about a left side and a right side.
But
Part of what went to the town, that entire area, all the way to the pond, is part of the rec. So to me, the mowing from all of it.
Route
needs to-
23.
Route 23 to the water, all down by the pond, all down around by the boat landing, the swimming hole, the left side, the right side, that all needs to be under one
One
bid.
bid. Okay,
I agree.
And
And ideally, we have more than one bid.
okay. I did ask somebody else.
I know we put it out before, you probably, I don't think hanging on to them in the file, but there was 4 or 5 over the years that have put in for it.
The only one in the file from last year was the winning bid. I'm in the process of getting my roadside mowing bid put together. He did put a bid in for that. It's high, and he wants us to commit to a 6-year bid.
Wow.
Because he wants to buy a new piece of equipment.
You can want.
So why?
What's left?
And, what was the other mowing? The cemeteries, I did call PJ's and confirm with him that the 9,700 would be the price. That's what he had quoted. And I also asked him to include the little piece that's down by Debbie Hill, on the corner by the bridge, and the town garage, and how much of an increase, and he said minimal. So,
Yes,
Will he bid the rest?
yes.
Okay.
Well,
Okay, but I mean, for that little piece, if we add that to him, we need him to stand at 10, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll get at least 2 bids, because he said he would bid it.
Yes.
Good.
that's good.
Anything?
And I don't know if does it contractually but I know like Troy Nesbitt, he bought a big Kubota zero turn, lives out on Dexter, he does a lot of private mowing for residents. I don't know if he would be interested in, or if he can put in, I don't know if he has the liability or what he would need to do that.
Right.
But that may be another local name too.
All right. Anybody does he do mowing and roadside mowing, or just?
I think at this time, he's just doing one, I don't know if he can
So
do.
he's landscape.
Yeah, I don't know if you could ask, I know he did buy a new tractor, I don't know if he's got a mower though, for it. I see a newer Massey out there a while ago.
Can I find him when I Google him?
Yeah, I should. Can't Facebook's works. He's on,
That's how I talk to him. I don't know if I got his number anymore.
I don't add a lot of people on.
You don't have to add to miss a messenger.
I know, but
If you can't, let me know, I'll do it for you.
all right.
Moving on, item 9, correspondence, Moosehead Enterprises.
You have a letter, a group of letters. This is from Eric Richardson. He came,
He's still trying, huh?
he's still trying. He came back and we clarified the location. He's included pictures, so this first picture is, that's Numberall right there, and this is the size of the box, so it might be a little bit bigger than this box. This is Fairpoint's box, so the size of the box he's talking about is a little bit bigger than that, but roughly it's that size. The next picture is the location at the town garage. This is right at the edge. He wasn't talking about in front of the parking area, he was talking at this tree line, this
So are they gonna
pine tree
offer
line.
internet as well as just cable TV?
I think so, because he's talking about putting in fiber.
Well, my question is I would think if we're gonna allow him to put this on our property, and he's gonna have internet, would he be willing to help us out with our internet?
He's just the pipeline, he's not the provider, I don't believe.
And then I'm not
He's
sure
your hardware
what
guy.
that one's for.
I
but-
don't believe
The
it.
hardware guy.
It's Moosehead Cable.
Well, if we can get
What
that,
is
he can,
this?
he can have a
The
box.
A. Robinson.
That's what I'm saying.
That's
Yeah,
what
no, I'm with you.
Robinson- I'm not sure why he included that, but
I think that's where he's,
Well,
I think he's got a box on, cause I read that, there was something there, if you read what he wrote.
replacing the current site at A.E. Robinson, which must be done
Correct.
to remove the old pole. So
I
you
see.
There's 2 poles there, he's gotta remove that.
And that box we see is his?
Yep,
Yeah,
I
okay.
think that's his current.
I don't see
That
a
little
box
tiny
there.
box?
There's a box on that pole, it's
Is
the
that-
short pole.
The
I
little blue
think-
thing?
Oh, or is it up at the,
No, it's attached right to the pole here.
Oh, it's at the top, yeah.
oh.
I don't know if that's it or not, it could be a light for A.E. Robinson.
And he said,
Well, what does it say right here? This site will also provide power for the cable TV system, replacing the current site at A.E. Robinson's, which must be done to remove the old pole. So currently, he's on that pole.
Right.
But he wants to go to this new location for the fiber optic communication.
and he can't go onto the new pole that's in front of A.E. Robinson, clearly.
I'm assuming.
He has to, I think he has to place his own pole, correct?
Oh.
Because it says it consists of a telephone pole and a cabinet to house fiber optic communications
Ah.
equipment.
So I'm assuming Robinson's is not allowing that to happen where
Ah.
he currently is. So he's looking for a new location.
Or the
Well,
phone
he's
company
looking
won't
for
let
a
him
better
hang it on there.
location, I think. I believe, I'm not sure if he's discussed it with A.E. Robinson at this point.
Because CMP requests a 15-foot setback from the pole service. So he's showing you the picture of the town garage.
And then it
So
would
at
be,
that pole, then it would be 15 feet behind that.
That's
where-
right.
So it sounds like
Yeah.
CMP's not willing to hang these anymore,
No, it can't be on a CMP pole.
which is what it is right now in front of Robinson's.
Right.
Well, I
but
think
that's not
it's
his.
a different thing.
That's not
Oh.
his. Oh,
The one at
for
Robinson's
Robinson
is,
is.
but that's not what he's looking, the new one he's gonna have
It's
is
gonna be this
Okay.
big thing.
correct.
So I talked to him, I said basically, if it's gonna be over in the tree line, it's gonna be out of the way. The only thing it may affect is how we plow that section. He wants the main line, it should be running from Pine Street and Dover, straight up through, so it will be on that main line. That's
So
what his
if I
goal
wanted,
is.
if he's gonna have internet, what's he gonna provide for us?
Yeah, what do we have to pay?
He wasn't
This
interested in
separate
paying us
fee?
anything.
Right.
Well, and I think that's what this is. This is your agreement, franchise agreement.
With him?
The town already has a franchise agreement.
Yeah, because no other cable can come into our town because we have this agreement with Moosehead Cable.
For how long?
Really?
Without Fairport?
They're not a cable,
Cable TV.
they're not like,
Oh, see, cable TV.
Time Warner or
Fairport just put a
Spectrum.
new internet box out. You know what the film house is on the East Angular Road? Oh,
Yeah.
down, you
I know,
know,
but that's
DSL.
not cable.
they set a new pole and they got this monster
Ah.
box.
It's a relay, yeah.
Oh.
Oh,
And you said there's something that makes noise in front of your house.
Oh, yeah. I have a Fairport one. I
Warren,
just need a new computer.
how loud is the box that's across the road from my house?
Across the street and you
It's
can
up the
hear it.
road and across the street. It's
And it's
not,
loud?
It's loud. Really?
I'd call him
What kind
complain.
of box, what kind of box?
Yeah, what is
Is
it?
that the
Internet.
same thing that they're talking for here?
Is that the same thing?
I'm
I
assuming.
don't know.
It's,
So,
I have fair
how long
points,
does this agree-
high-speed internet across from me.
That box is.
This agreement was signed in 2015.
And how long is this agreement for?
I have no idea.
It's, the boxes are loud because of the heat that's generated within the box, and they have to have all these fans for cooling.
Fans. Sure,
So that's the noise, or,
sure.
and it's not like your fan, you think, it's not your ceiling fan running.
Probably a bad bearing in one of the fans.
Yeah, it's been there ever since the day they put it in. And I've complained ever
And you
since.
can hear it.
Oh,
That's-
It's as clear, you can hear it just as clear as you can hear that truck running.
Oh, my
He says he
goodness.
points across the road, it's that.
You go out in the evening and sit on my deck, it's like sitting here right now and listening to
With
that
that
truck.
Truck
truck
out there
running.
running. That's what it sounds like.
Oh, my goodness.
I really wish it was across the street. I wish it was on my side.
Well, they should pay you something for that.
They've had a couple of people have come out, they've mentioned possibly having them fully boarded more to
Yeah,
try
that's
to,
so,
they all said they were gonna do it, and it's yet to happen, so.
So the point of this franchise
Target
agreement,
yeah.
what is the point of this? As far as our purposes of whether to award him this?
Well, he
location.
highlighted this sentence, and that's why I've highlighted it on yours. It says this franchise, however, shall not relieve the grantee of any obligations involved in obtaining. So I think he still has to get permission from the town.
But he could get permission from a private landowner.
He could, yes.
Sure.
So he's coming to us because
It's
we
a
don't
better
know why.
location.
He
It's the
thinks
best
it's easier
location.
maybe?
Yes.
And he's coming to us because he wants it for free.
He says
Could
he
be.
doesn't pay anybody franchise fees, not just the town, he doesn't pay anybody
Sure.
franchise fees.
But then, I would go, like Dale says, it's not unreasonable what he's asking,
No, I agree.
not at all.
So what do you,
Provide internet service for blah, blah.
oh,
It would save us money forever.
That's not,
Doesn't cost anything.
And it doesn't increase his
But this
cost
is
at
my
all.
only
But he
thing.
didn't, he's flat out said he wasn't interested in comping this at all for this. So,
he always.
When you grant one person permission to do something like this on
Yeah.
town property,
You're setting an
you're
example.
correct, anybody can come to us, well, you did it for this one,
Right.
where do you draw the line? That's my question. Now, if I would draw the line is, yeah, we allowed him to do that, but he's providing this service for
Right.
us.
Right,
Then that's,
yeah, I mean, even half off is
right.
something. No,
Do each year around.
no, I mean, he might have the argument, well, I'm bringing a service to your community that makes your community more valuable.
correct.
And if I don't do this, your residents are gonna be very unhappy to not have internet anymore. That might be his argument.
but I would also, my comment would be that I don't believe his service goes to the majority of our residents.
My Sangerville one don't work with the crap.
My Silver's Mills one doesn't work very.
May I ask a question, this installation is gonna be on town property, or was it in the state right of way?
I think he would have to, he's gonna be 15 feet off.
Setback from
Setback.
that phone.
From the pole.
From,
Yeah, but what is the state right of way?
I would imagine that's.
If
I bet
a
that's
3-mile
within.
road.
Up there?
Pretty close.
Or is it a? Yeah,
Is
it's a
it,
road.
you'd say?
Usually states what, 4 road
Yeah.
minimum?
But is that technically state?
That's,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
state-
that
state
road
road.
is a state road.
Yeah, I bet technically our sign up there is within that right away.
Yeah.
So 4
I
roads,
just
so it's
throw that out for
33
your-
feet from the
for
center
your
line.
consideration.
I mean, that he may have to go to the state.
It's just something for you to consider.
Before you said, yeah, I mean, the state.
Yeah, you don't wanna let him put something in a place that you don't even have the authority to
Right.
give him permission.
Yeah.
Right.
I've seen it before.
I think you have to start with us, and then they have to do, right?
I don't
State
see any
didn't
compelling
approve it,
reason
we
to do
didn't.
this.
I don't see
Yeah.
a benefit.
Yeah.
So, okay. But for free internet, he's
Yeah.
probably gonna get a unanimous support.
I'll even go mow the grass for him to make sure he gets to it very rapidly.
So you want free internet for the town?
I
Yep.
wanted, yeah, I don't,
That's a good starting place.
Yep.
I think to ask for it for our own personal residence is asking too much.
That goes on the political kickback.
That's
Yeah,
correct.
there you go.
So we're not gonna do that. Item B, sign assessor's return for county.
Did he,
That's the county tax bill.
Just sign it, Michael.
Just sign it.
Just sign.
It's just annual.
How much? Don't, tell me after I sign it, please. Please.
What, how much we have to pay them?
Yeah, it's a county tax bill.
Alright, you can say it now.
It's like 113,000, or 117, 113, 110.
Request for additional agenda items? None. Executive session tonight? None. This meeting is adjourned.
Oh,
Make a motion and adjourn.
that's right. I'll second
I was
that.
told we didn't have to do that, but,
Oh, we don't?
I thought we've been doing it.
go ahead.
We did already.
We did.
All right,
Done.
let's vote. Any further discussion on the adjournment? No? All in favor? It's unanimous.